Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Kristen Gear. I am the Director of Operations and one of the Managing Directors for BNI Arizona. And every single week, I come to you with a weekly education nugget called Wisdom Wednesday. That counts as one chapter education for watching. So thank you so much for joining me in this week's edition. We've got some amazing stats to share with you today in this edition because we are in our last month of this BNI year, guys. We are in the home stretch. All of our chapters are ending the year with a bang. Oh my gosh, we have so many open business days going on this month. We had a bunch last month. We are just moving and shaking for BNI Arizona, so really exciting stuff going on all over town. So if you go to bniarizona.com, click on the calendar link, you'll be able to see all of the upcoming events that we have going on. And speaking of events, one of the biggest things that's going on right now is what? Support team training. So we are only in the last couple weeks of support team training. Our education team training was last week. This week we have our visitor host training. Next week is our membership committee training. And the following week is the last week of training, which covers growth, events, power teams, and mentors. So if you are just now finding out what your position is for the upcoming year, and let's say you missed the training time, or if you are just now getting in on the visitor host and you're not able to make one of the times this week, don't worry. All you have to do is let me know, and then I will be able to send you the makeup video so that way you can learn all about your incoming role. So we will have a makeup video available for each of the support team roles. So that way you guys can get updated on what's involved with your specific role for the upcoming year, because we want to make sure that everyone learns the ins and outs so we can create a smooth transition come October 1st, because that's when everything transfers over to the new team is October 1st. So it'll be really important that we create that smooth transition, learn all about our role. The chapter operations manual is a really great resource. So for all of the incoming leadership team members, they all received a copy of the chapter operations manual. And inside that manual is a one-page document for each role that has the responsibility checklist of what to do before, during, and after the meeting for your specific role. We keep it as easy as possible for each of the roles, so there is not a huge time commitment outside of the weekly meeting. So that's one of the most important pieces. When every member of the chapter does a little bit of the work, that makes for huge success for the chapter as a whole, because it's not the leadership team's chapter, it's everyone's chapter. So every single member is a part of the chapter and should help contribute towards the success of a chapter. And speaking of successes, so every year, so this month, we're going to be wrapping up the BNI numbers. So this is going to be an important month to make sure that you have all your numbers in. So every single chapter, one of the things that we look at every year, especially for the end of the year awards, there's 3 areas that we look at when it comes to the end of the year awards. We look at thank you for closed business, total visitors, and net new members. Those 3 areas. That's it. And what we've done is we've grouped the chapters by chapter size of what chapter size they started with in the beginning of the year. So this is important because we're not just plugging all the chapters into one bucket when it comes to these awards. We are grouping them out so that way it's an even playing field with the chapters that are in each group. So I am going to announce the top chapters in each of these groups for the Thank You for Closed Business field, because Thank You for Closed Business, a lot of times we start to miss some items that we should have recorded for Thank You for Closed Business. So we're going to go over some tips around looking for Thank You for Closed Business items, because I guarantee you there's probably a lot of you watching right now that are thinking, Oh yeah, I totally forgot to record a thank you for closed business for this person, or I forgot to look last week if I had thank you for closed business for somebody. So it's important that we round out the year strong, make sure we're recording all of the statistics, especially for thank you for closed business, because it's what one of the awards is on for your chapter. If you're not logging thank you for closed business, how do we know if your chapter is in the running or not for that amazing award? So I'm going to share with you guys some of the top chapters for each of the different groups. So for the chapters that started under 16 members in the beginning of the year, we have we've got 5 chapters in the running for thank you for closed business, and all 5 of these chapters have at least 480,000 or more in thank you for closed business. There's a couple other chapters that are really close to that as well. So to list these off in no particular order, because I'm not listing them off as far as like the person that's currently in first, because I don't want to let you guys know that. But the top chapters for that area is B&I Team is in the running for most thank you for closed business. B&I Opportunity Makers is also in the running. B&I Achievers is in the running. B&I Success Connectors up in Prescott Valley, and B&I True North. So this is just saying that right now you guys are at the top of the mix of the chapters that are in that grouping. So there's about 25 chapters in that group, and those are the top 5 for thank you for closed business. So really exciting stuff. You know what? I'm going to share with you guys the top chapters for net new members as well. For the visitors, it's a little more complicated. I actually go through and pull every visitor report for every chapter and manually count all of the first-time visitors that have come through your chapter. So I know personally that the visitor number is on point because I manually go through all of the reports. This is why we want to make sure that when visitors visit your meeting, that you guys are marking the attendance in B&I Connect. That's how we view that information. If the vice president is just marking a tally on the Palms report and not logging the visitor information through the attendance portal, then we're not being able to see that information because I'm not pulling the visitor number off of the Palms report. That would be much easier, but I've found over the years that some chapters accidentally mark second-time visitors or guests in their visitor column on the Palms report. So this is why I go through and manually check the chapter visitor report and tally up all of the first-time visitors. It's definitely been a game changer when it comes time to mark the awards for total visitors. So for net new members in that same grouping of chapters, so chapters that started the year under 16, we have, in no particular order, these are the top chapters that have the most net new members. I'll just start from, let's see, so B&I Team is in the running again, so they're in the running for thank you for closed business and net new members, which is awesome. We also have B&I True North is in the running for most net new members. We also have B&I Wolfpack is in the running for most net new members. Opportunity Makers is in the mix. Success Connectors is in the mix. B&I Elite is in the mix. And B&I Goodyear Legacy. So those are the top chapters for net new members for the for this calendar year, or I should say for this B&I year, because our B&I year ends at the end of this month. So that is for our chapters that were started the year under 16. Now in our next grouping of chapters, so this is the chapters that started the year between 17 and 24 members. So depending on their net new growth, they could be a lot more than that now, but it's all where you started in the beginning of the year. So in no particular order, these are the top chapters for the Thank You for Closed Business Award. So B&I Scottsdale Profit Builders is in the mix. B&I Camelback Alliance, BNI Business Advantage, BNI Mesa Success, BNI Morning Mulligans, and BNI Abundance Builders. So all of these chapters are in the running for Thank You for Closed Business, most Thank You for Closed Business, for our chapters that started the year with members between 17 and 24. Now, in that same grouping, the chapters that are in the running for most net new members, we have Networking Ninjas is in the running for net new members. We have BNI Legends is in the mix. Scottsdale Profit Builders is also in the mix for most net new members. BNI Velocity is also in that mix. And BNI Camelback Alliance. So congratulations, chapter. There's so many amazing numbers on the board for net new members. This is exciting. All right, so in the next category, so these are going to be chapters that started the year between 25 and 34 members. The chapters that are in the running for most Thank You for Closed Business, we have BNI Titans in the mix for Thank You for Closed Business, BNI East Valley Achievers, BNI Scottsdale Prospers is in the mix, BNI Aces, and BNI Biltmore Connections is in the mix for most Thank You for Closed Business for the year. And then we also have some amazing net new member numbers in this group as well. So here are the top 5 chapters for most net new members. We've got BNI Titans, we have BNI East Valley Achievers is also in the mix. We have BNI Networking Gold Miners is in the mix. BNI Biltmore Connections and BNI Apex is in the mix for most net new members. Now we still have a month, guys, so this could fluctuate. You never know who's going to pull up on top. So this will be awesome to watch. So the next group of chapters is chapters that started the year between 35 and 49 members. So the chapters that are at the top of the list for most Thank You for Closed Business, we have BNI QC Connect is in the mix for most Thank You for Closed Business. BNI Power Professionals of Queen Creek is in the mix for most Thank You for Closed Business. And BNI Hall of Fame is in the mix for most Thank You for Closed Business. Now for net new members, woo, it is close, and I'm not going to tell you how close, but it is really close. The chapters in the running for most net new members in this grouping, and there are 6 chapters in the mix for this. We have BNI Masters of Business is in the mix for net new members. BNI Power Professionals of Queen Creek is in the mix, and BNI Hall of Fame. So all 3 chapters are at the top of the list for that grouping for most net new members. Now, for chapters that started the year at 50 plus members, there are 7 chapters in the mix in this category around the valley. So the top 4 chapters for most Thank You for Closed Business. We have BNI Desert Ridge Referral Partners. We also have BNI Arrowhead Legends, BNI Connectors, and BNI Foothill Sharks. I will tell you guys that all 4 of those numbers are extremely close. Like really, really close. There is no landslides this year. Like they are super close. So entering in that Thank You for Closed Business, it's a big one, guys. We've got to make sure we do it. Now, for net new members in this mix, the chapters that are in the running for most net new members, we have BNI Arrowhead Legends, we have BNI Connectors, and BNI Foothill Sharks. So all 3 of those chapters are at the top of the list when it comes to the award for most net new members. So again, you never know what this year is going to end like, but we want to make sure that we are entering in all the numbers, guys. Thank You for Closed Business is key. When you look at the calendar for September, you need to make sure that your numbers for the BNI calendar year are entered in before the last meeting of the month ends. This is important. It's not the last day of the month. When your meeting ends, So for this month, all of our chapters will fall in that last week of September. So the last meeting of the month, you have to get your numbers in before your meeting ends. So let's say your meeting is from 9 to 10:30 on, let's say your meeting's Tuesday from 9 to 10:30. On September 26th, which is the last Tuesday of the month, you need to make sure that your annual numbers are in by 10:30, before 10:30 that Tuesday. Because if you submit your numbers after the meeting ends, it's going to automatically shift over to October and count towards the new BNI year. So that's important. Now with these net new members, one of the things is that what counts is the application date of the new member coming in. So we will allow some time for membership committees to process applications because we have gotten a lot of new applications in recently. We have a lot pending in the system. So I know membership committees are working hard to process all of these applications. So we will give the opportunity to make sure that membership committees have the ability to keep processing applications. So it'll all be based on that application date. So super, super key. Now with thank you for closed business, some of the things that we want to keep in mind is, and questions you want to ask yourself is, if you receive business, did you receive business from members of your chapter currently, that are currently in your chapter? Did you receive business from members that used to be in your chapter but are no longer in your chapter? If that's the case, you want to make sure that you submit any thank you for closed business and credit it to BNI, which is at the bottom of the member drop-down menu for the thank you for closed business slip. Another question, did you receive business from a visitor that visited your chapter? Maybe they visited but never joined your chapter. You want to make sure to record that as well. In addition to that, in that member drop-down menu at the very bottom, or right below where it has BNI, there's also a visitor option, so you can thank the visitor for thank you for closed business. Now, when you select BNI or visitor in the drop-down menu, it still credits your chapter for those thank you for closed business items, because that's been a big question that I've been asked a lot, is does it credit BNI as a whole, or does it really help impact my chapter? And yes, it does impact your chapter. If you look at the Palms report, you'll notice that at the bottom of the member list, there's 2 rows, one for BNI and one for visitors. And what that's there for is that thank you for closed business section. So when members submit thank you for closed business to BNI or visitors, it's going to show in the bottom of that Palms report under those 2 different items. So that's why we want to make sure that we're recording all of that information. Now, if another 4th question is, did you receive business from a member in another chapter? You definitely want to make sure that you are helping that other member out. The best way to say thank you for a referral is to submit that thank you for closed business. And when you're dealing with someone from another chapter, you want to make sure that you're using the cross-chapter search option to select their name to submit the thank you for closed business to. So that won't credit your specific chapter for the thank you for closed business, but it will credit their chapter for that thank you for closed business. So we want to make sure that everyone is getting credit for the amazing referrals that they're sending to each other. So as we round out this month, guys, remember, look at all of your thank you for closed business and make sure that we are recording everything before the end of the BNI year, which is when? The end of this month. So not the end of the year. Look to see when your last meeting of this month is and make sure, I would even time block sometime the night before your meeting so you don't forget to make sure you enter in any last numbers for your chapter. It's going to be huge. And for the vice presidents that are watching this right now, please make sure that all of your Palms reports have been submitted throughout the year. You can go in and view all of the past Palms reports to make sure that they are all submitted and ready to go. At the end of the month, I also go through and double check every chapter just in case, to make sure that chapters aren't missing out on thank you for closed business that could be credited towards their numbers. So if you have any questions on this, if you have any issues with logging things or have questions about thank you for closed business, please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm happy to help. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's edition of Wisdom Wednesday. Super excited to just keep seeing all of these thank you for closed business numbers just keep creeping up before we have the end of the year totals at the end of this month. So again, thank you guys so much. And remember to record one chapter education unit for watching. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you next week.